Thank you. Hi, I am Gina Gold. Hi. Oh, hello. Oh my God, you guys didn't look that friendly when I was sitting there, but I was like, oh God. I was like identifying with Morgan. I was like, Walnut Creek. You guys are friendly. I feel a lot better. And my story is, it's not that funny, but it is true. And I had a baby 5 years ago, and I felt like, when I was pregnant, I actually felt like I was in drag. And can you give me a flashlight when it's time? Because I will just go on and on and on about my pregnancy and just complain to anybody who will listen. So this is like such a great forum for me. You guys are forced to listen to my pregnancy rant. But I just thought pregnancy was awful, and I had pictured this natural birth. I was going to have a baby in this pool of water, and all my friends would be around, and I'd be eating like organic tomatoes and doing all this deep breathing. And the opposite happened. I was screaming for an epidural until the doctor said, Gina, you are 6 weeks along. I was done after 6 weeks. So done. And the real torture hadn't even started. The concept of eating something and not being able to hold it down was more than I could take. As a food addict, someone who has loved food all of her life, to have to eat something knowing that it was on its way back up, and I was throwing up 4 or 5 times a day. And you don't want to take a drug when you're pregnant. You really want to do it the natural way, but I was so dehydrated and so sick that I finally said, just give me something. And she said, okay, are you sure? And I said, I just feel like, first of all, you took too long to come into the room. I've been in here about 20 minutes, and you've had me in here for 20 minutes, and I'm receiving substandard care. And I think that really pissed her off. And so she gave me this drug called Compazine for nausea, and she sent me home. And this is totally too much information. This is where it's a little too much, but I'm going to tell you anyway. They're Compazine suppositories. So you take them, you shove them up your butt, and then you're supposed to not have nausea. So, I'm shoving these things up my ass, just shoving them. Nausea's not getting that much better. And I'm just so sad, just complaining all the time. And I'm so sick that I actually have to stay at my mother's house. And my mother, she's from Long Island, and she was not too thrilled to have me at her house complaining the whole pregnancy. And she asked me to go out one day and get the mail. So I go outside, and I'm trying to put my hand in the mailbox. And instead of my hand going in the mailbox, my arms float up like this. So they're like some sort of chicken, or some sort of 70s, poppin' and lockin' dance that rerun did. I don't know and it freaked me out because I thought I could have sworn I just sent a message to my brain to get the mail out of the box. I'm going to do it again. And I went to put my hand in the box, and my arms floated up like this. So I thought, this is a really bad pregnancy. And this must be some sort of weird pregnancy side effect. And I'm not going to get upset about it. So the next day, and my mom, keep in mind, my mom is really, really concerned about how things look. She's all about keeping up with the Joneses and does this look good? So the next day I'm coming down her stairs, and I go to grab onto the banister, and my arms float up, and I have to walk down like this, and my mother walks by, and she's like, what's going on? And I said, I'm not sure. I actually went to grab onto the banister, and my arms floated up. I later, I fall asleep, and I had the worst dream possible. And when I woke up, I was still in the dream. Even though I could see everything around me, and I knew that I was in my mother's house, but it seemed like I was in Europe, and I was like in Nazi Germany. It was horrible, and I was about to be killed, even though I knew that I was in my mother's house. But the logic of that, it didn't help, so I start to run. Because, I'm being chased by the Nazis. But my arms are floating up. So I'm like, I run down the stairs. I run outside into my mother's backyard, where she has a pool. And the thing about Long Island, like all the houses are kind of close, and you can, if you're the neighbor and you're in the house over here, you can see into the next person's yard. So the neighbors could see me running around my mother's pool trying to get away from the Nazis with my arms up. And all my mother, and here I am pregnant, and she should be concerned, and she's like, oh my God, the neighbors will see you get inside. This is embarrassing. And I'm like, you think? It's embarrassing? Like my arms are floating up, I'm being chased by Nazis. And she said, if you're having that much of a problem, you need to go to emergency. So I said, you know what? You are so right. So I run to the car, I grab the keys, but my arms are like up here now. So I have my arm is like up by my face. So I have to lean over the steering wheel and then put the keys in the ignition like this. And I peel out of my mother's driveway. And as I'm driving away, I see her in the driveway just going, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And I drive all the way to the hospital, which was like 3 miles. I go into the labor unit and I say, I know this looks really bad, but I actually can't put my arms down. And I'm pregnant, and if this doesn't change, I'm going to jump into the lake. Well, that was the wrong thing to say when you're pregnant. So they're like, wait right here. So security comes about 5 minutes later, escorts me downstairs into what's known to most people as the psych ward. I'm put in the psych ward. They take my shoes. They give me these rubber shoes to wear. And then they put me in a glass room and separate me from the other crazies, so I don't even get to hang out with the other crazies because I'm pregnant. So I have to be alone in a glass room where all the doctors and nurses can see me. And now I'm like, shit, I really fucked up. I never should have said the thing about the lake. So I'm like, all right, we got to get out of here. I'm like, I can't have a baby in here. I can't have a baby in the cycle. So I'm like, okay, just try to look casual. So I can see the doctors, and I'm like this. And it starts to get worse because now I can see the Nazis are like behind me. And I'm like, no, please, not the Nazis. So, but I'm stuck in this glass room, so I can't get away from them, so I start to pace with my arms up on my face. But at the same time, I see the nurses like, wow, like really, that's too bad. So 4 hours I'm pacing back and forth. They let me make one phone call to my mother, but they won't let her in. So she's outside of the psych ward in the waiting area going, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And then finally the doctor and the nurse come in, and I'm thinking, I cannot have a baby in the psych ward. This is just such a low. So I'm like, you've got to just say whatever you can say to get the hell out of here. So I was like, listen, doctor, I realize this looks bad, and I am being chased by Nazis right now. But it's not that I think that I really am being chased by Nazis, because I'm aware that I'm in this room talking to you, which means that I'm not crazy. Because as long as I have an awareness of what I'm saying, that shows that I'm not crazy. And I'm not depressed, although I do find this situation depressing at this time, which is different from actual depression. So I see that I'm not making any impact. All they see is that my arms are like up here and that I'm pacing. So I start throwing out like, I had some chicken broth for breakfast, I had some water, I watched a little television. I put some Compazine suppositories up my ass, and the nurse said, "What? Compazine suppositories? You're having what's called a dystonic reaction." So apparently, the doctors gave me a drug which in some people causes facial tics, spastic arm movements, racing thoughts, kind of like psychotic delusions a little bit. But I looked it up online, but you basically hallucinate. So that's why I thought I was in Nazi Germany. And she said, stop taking it immediately and take some Benadryl. And I'm like, you know what? To hell with you with your Western medicine. I'll just wait for it to wear off. Like, I'm so not taking a Benadryl. I'm just going to take these two Nazis and these rubber slippers, and I'm out. I was so pissed that they would give me such a drug while I was pregnant, and sure enough, I did not put any suppositories up my ass that night. My mother was waiting for me when I got out, going, oh my God. She drove me home, and the next day, I was fine. And that is and I have a healthy daughter, healthy baby girl to this day. So thank you so much for